3 minutes remained on the countdown. The Supreme Commander of the Hegemony stood frozen in his throne room. His pride and 2 centuries of absolute power fought against the simple math in front of him. 2,000 human warships. Each one, apparently capable of destroying his best destroyers without effort. His tail hadn't moved in the last 5 minutes. For a hegemony leader, that was the equivalent of panic. General Vrax spoke quietly. Supreme Commander, we have confirmation. Human ships are targeting every major hegemony facility. If they fire, we lose everything in the first wave. 2 minutes. The Supreme Commander's claws dug into his throne. The metal screamed as it bent. Around the galaxy, billions of beings watched their screens. Some species were secretly happy to see the hegemony threatened. Others were terrified of what humans might do next. All of them waited. 1 minute. Open, a channel to Earth, the Supreme Commander said. The words tasted like poison in his mouth. President Diana Foster appeared on the screen. She didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She just waited. 30 seconds. The hegemony withdraws its demands, the Supreme Commander said. Each word came out like pulling teeth. We acknowledge humanity's military capabilities. Diana nodded. And the apology? The throne room went silent. No one had ever asked the hegemony to apologize. Wars had been fought over smaller insults. 10 seconds. The hegemony apologizes for threatening Earth and human colonies. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Accepted, Diana said. Stand down from aggressive postures and we will do the same. Across the galaxy, beings started breathing again. The countdown ended. War had been avoided by seconds. But something fundamental had changed. Humanity was no longer the weak, peaceful species everyone ignored. They were now the species that had made the hegemony apologize. But the story wasn't over. Other species, seeing the hegemony's weakness, thought they might test humanity themselves. The Vorthan Confederacy had always been smart. They believed their technology was superior to everyone else's. They had studied the battle between Jake's ship and the hegemony destroyers. They thought they had found weaknesses in human tactics. Hive Queen Zek ordered her best fleet to attack the human colony on Proxima 3. 200 Vorthan ships, using their newest cloaking technology, moved toward the small farming world. They believed humans couldn't have militarized every colony. Some had to be genuinely weak. Colonel Ryan Mitchell commanded the defense of Proxima 3. On the surface, it looked exactly like what the Vorthans expected. Farmland, small towns. No visible military bases. The colonists seemed to be normal families. Children played in parks. Adults worked in fields. Everything looked peaceful. The Vorthan fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Their insect-like ships moved in perfect formation, their black hulls nearly invisible against space. They expected to find maybe 1 or 2 converted cargo ships defending the colony. They found nothing. No ships at all. Move to the planet, the Vorthan fleet commander ordered. Prepare for ground invasion. As the fleet approached Proxima 3, Ryan Mitchell watched from his command center. It was built under a barn 50 meters below the surface. Around him, 300 colonists sat at combat stations. Every adult on Proxima 3 was military trained. They had been waiting for this moment. Let them get closer, Ryan said calmly. We only get one chance to teach this lesson. The Vorthan fleet entered orbit. Their scanners showed no weapons, no shields, no defensive systems, just farms and towns, and humans going about their daily lives. The fleet commander clicked his mandibles in what Vorthans considered laughter. The humans had been bluffing. They couldn't have militarized everything. Begin the assault, the fleet commander ordered. That's when Proxima 3 revealed its secret. The farmland wasn't just farmland. Every field had been built over a massive weapon platform. The grain silos were actually missile launchers. The water towers were shield generators. The entire colony was one giant weapon disguised as a farming community. Lieutenant Katie Morgan commanded Battery 7, hidden under what looked like a cornfield. Target locked on 30 ships, she reported. Ready to fire. All batteries, fire, Ryan ordered. The peaceful farmland erupted. Thousands of missiles launched from hidden silos. Energy beams shot from disguised projectors. The Vorthon fleet, caught completely off guard, had no time to raise shields or return fire. But the humans weren't trying to destroy them. Every shot was precisely aimed to disable, not kill. In 40 seconds, 200 Vorthon ships floated helplessly in orbit. Their engines were dead. Their weapons were destroyed. Their communications were jammed. But their life support still worked. Every crew member was alive, trapped in their useless ships. General Alex Parker appeared on every screen in the galaxy. He stood in front of the disabled Vorthon fleet. This is General Parker of Earth Defense Command. The Vorthon Confederacy just attacked a human colony. They believed we were weak. They were wrong. The screen showed the helpless Vorthon ships. We could destroy these vessels with one more volley. Every Vorthon life could be ended in seconds, but we won't. Because humans are still peacekeepers. We still prefer solutions that don't involve death, but make no mistake, we are peacekeepers who can enforce peace. The message was clear. Humanity could destroy anyone who threatened them, but they would choose not to if possible. They were offering the galaxy a choice: peace with humanity as guardians, or war with humanity as conquerors. Back on Earth, Diana Foster met with her advisors. The demonstration was complete. They had shown they could defeat the hegemony's best ships. They had shown they could disable an entire fleet without killing. They had shown mercy and strength in equal measure. What's the response from other species? Diana asked. Secretary of State Martin Clark pulled up reports. The Krellian Empire is requesting a peace treaty. The Zalathi want to open trade negotiations. 17 smaller species have asked for protection agreements. They're all scared, but they're also relieved. They prefer us to the hegemony. Admiral Paul Harris, who had planned this for 30 years, finally looked tired. We've revealed ourselves. There's no going back now. Every species knows what we are. Diana nodded. Then we give them what we promised. Peace. Real peace. Not the kind maintained by fear of the hegemony, but peace maintained by justice. Any species that wants to live peacefully will be protected. Any species that threatens others will face us. The change happened quickly. Within days, most of the galaxy had accepted humanity's new role. The smaller species, who had lived in fear for centuries, finally felt safe. The warrior species, like the Krellians, found they respected humans for hiding such strength. Even the Vorthons, floating helplessly in their disabled ships, admitted that humanity had shown more mercy than they would have. Captain Jake Palmer, whose destruction of 3 destroyers had started everything, received a message from an unexpected source, the Supreme Commander of the hegemony himself. Human, the message read. You defeated my ships in seconds. You could have destroyed them all. You didn't. This is unexpected. The hegemony wishes to discuss terms of coexistence. Jake smiled and forwarded the message to Earth. The impossible was happening. The hegemony wanted to negotiate as equals. Dr. Melissa Turner prepared one final broadcast. She stood in the same black uniform, but this time she allowed herself a small smile. Citizens of the galaxy, the age of endless war is over. Humanity will maintain peace, not through weakness, but through strength. Not through words alone, but through action. We are your peacekeepers. We are also your protectors. Choose peace, and we will defend you. Choose war, and we will stop you. She paused, then added something unexpected. We didn't want to be your guardians. We wanted to be your equals. But you forced us to reveal what we are. Now we have a responsibility. We will keep the peace we've always talked about. The only difference is now you know we can enforce it. The patient killers have become patient guardians. We hope that's enough. The Supreme Commander of the hegemony stared at the screen in his throne room. Dr. Melissa Turner's face had just disappeared, but her words still echoed in the air. 1 hour. The humans had given him 1 hour. He had ruled for 200 years, and no one had ever dared to threaten him. His tail smashed through another stone pillar, this time in rage, not for show. "Get me fleet status," he roared at his generals. "Show me these human ships they claim to have." General Vrax, the hegemony's military leader, pulled up the tactical display. What appeared made everyone in the room go silent. Red dots showed human ships, thousands of them. They were everywhere, near every hegemony world, along every supply route, around every military base. They had been there all along, hidden as civilian vessels. "This is impossible," General Vrax said. "Our scanner showed these were cargo ships, mining vessels, broken transports." The Supreme Commander's eyes narrowed. "Scan them again. Now." The new scans revealed the truth. Every human ship was armed. Not just armed, but carrying weapons that shouldn't exist. The reading showed hegemony shield technology, but better. Krellian armor, but stronger. Vorthon engines, but faster. It was as if humans had taken the best technology from every species and improved it. "How?" the Supreme Commander asked. His voice was quiet now. "Dangerous." General Vrax pulled up 50 years of records. Every peace meeting, every trade negotiation, every cultural exchange. They were learning from us. When we showed off our strength to intimidate them, we were teaching them our secrets. Meanwhile, 43 minutes remained on humanity's deadline. Across the galaxy, other species watched in shock. The Krellians, who had always dismissed humans as weak, suddenly realized that human observers had been at every one of their military exercises. The Vorthons discovered that human students had visited all their research facilities. Everyone began to understand the same terrible truth. Humanity had played them all for fools. Captain Jake Palmer sat in the command chair of his ship, the Broken Dream. That had been its name when it was pretending to be a mining vessel. Now its real name appeared on the hull, the Patient Hunter. Around him, his crew of 30 prepared for war. They had trained for this in secret for years. Virtual reality sessions when everyone thought they were sleeping. Combat drills disguised as mining operations. "Captain, we have movement," Lieutenant Emma White reported. 3 hegemony destroyers heading our way. Jake smiled. "They want to test us, see if we're really dangerous or just bluffing. Emma, power up the main gun, but keep it hidden. Let them get close." The hegemony destroyers approached what they thought was just one converted mining ship. They would destroy it easily and prove that humanity's threat was empty. They didn't know that Jake's ship had been studying their destroyer design for 8 years. He knew every weakness, every blind spot, every system failure point. Back on Earth, President Diana Foster watched the countdown. 35 minutes. She stood in the command center with her advisors. Some looked nervous, not Diana. She had been preparing for this moment her entire life. Her father had been one of the first humans to meet aliens. He had seen their contempt and started planning humanity's response. "What if they call our bluff?" Secretary of Defense Alan Porter asked. Diana turned to him. "Who says we're bluffing?" The tactical display showed humanity's true strength. Not just the 2,000 warships everyone could now see. That was just the first layer. Hidden in asteroid belts, buried on moons, floating in deep space between stars were weapons platforms. Automated battle stations. Missile pods that had been sleeping for decades. If activated, humanity could field the equivalent of 10,000 ships. In his throne room, the Supreme Commander watched the 3 destroyers approach Jake's ship. This would prove whether humans were really dangerous or just desperate. His generals stood around him, all certain that the mining ship would be destroyed in seconds. "Fire," the Supreme Commander ordered. The destroyers launched their plasma cannons. The beams that could melt through a moon raced toward the human ship. Then something impossible happened. The mining vessel's hull shifted. Panels that looked like rust were actually adaptive armor. The plasma hit and did nothing. The energy was absorbed, converted, and fired back at twice the power. 3 hegemony destroyers, each worth more than a small planet, were cut in half in less than 4 seconds. The pieces floated in space, their crews dead before they knew what happened. Silence filled the throne room. The Supreme Commander's mouth opened, but no words came out. General Vrax checked the readings 3 times. The human ship hadn't just survived. It had destroyed 3 destroyers without taking any damage. 28 minutes remained. Dr. Melissa Turner appeared on screens again. This time, she wasn't alone. Behind her stood 50 humans in military uniforms. Not the dress uniforms they wore to look pretty. Combat gear, armor that seemed to bend light around it, weapons that looked wrong, like someone had merged technologies that shouldn't work together. "Supreme Commander," Melissa said, "you just tested us. 3 of your destroyers are now floating scrap. Their crews are dead. This was unnecessary. We gave you a chance to withdraw peacefully. 28 minutes remain." She gestured to the soldiers behind her. "Let me introduce you to something. These are human Marines. For 50 years, every human child has trained in combat. We told them it was for exercise, for discipline, for tradition. But really, we were creating the greatest warriors in the galaxy. Each of these soldiers has studied your species. They know how you fight, how you think, how you die." The screen changed to show footage from inside Jake's ship during the battle. The crew hadn't panicked. They hadn't even looked excited. They had destroyed 3 destroyers with the same emotion most people use to make breakfast. "We are not the weak species you thought we were," Melissa continued. "We are the children of Earth, a world where everything tries to kill you, where survival meant becoming the deadliest thing around. We brought that evolution to space. We just hit it. Until now." 20 minutes remained. Around the galaxy, emergency meetings were being held. The Krellian War Council couldn't believe the footage. The Vorthan Hive Queens were recalculating every interaction they'd ever had with humans. The smaller species, the ones who had always feared being conquered, suddenly wondered if humanity might be worse than the hegemony. Ambassador Jack Morrison, who had spent 10 years mediating peace between other species, sent a message to all his former contacts. "We are still the same humans you knew. We still want peace. We still want cooperation. The only difference is now you know what happens if you threaten us. We prefer to be peacekeepers, but we are very, very good at war." 15 minutes remained. The Supreme Commander looked at his options. His pride said fight. Show the galaxy that the hegemony couldn't be threatened. But his brain, the cold part that had kept him alive for 2 centuries, did the math. If one converted mining ship could destroy 3 destroyers, what could 2,000 purpose-built warships do? And that was just what the humans were showing. What else were they hiding? General Vrax leaned close. "Supreme Commander, our analysis suggests the humans have been planning this for 50 years. Every strategy we might use they've already prepared for. They know our codes, our tactics, our psychology. We taught them everything when we thought they were weak." 10 minutes remained. The galaxy held its breath. This was the moment that would define the next 1,000 years. Either the hegemony would apologize, something they had never done, or humanity would reveal if their threats were real. Every monitoring station, every ship, every being with access to a screen watched the countdown. 5 minutes remained. Ambassador Kyle Rodriguez stood in the golden hall of the hegemony of scales. Everything here was designed to make visitors feel small. The ceiling stretched up 50 meters. The walls were covered in trophies from conquered species. Skulls, weapons, and flags from dead civilizations decorated the space like a museum of violence. Kyle kept his face calm and friendly, even though he wanted to leave. The Supreme Commander of the hegemony entered the hall. He was 12 feet tall, covered in golden scales that reflected light like mirrors. His eyes were red vertical slits that never blinked. His claws could tear through steel. He was the most feared being in the galaxy, and he knew it. Behind him walked 20 guards, each one a killing machine trained from birth. "Ambassador Rodriguez," the Supreme Commander said. His voice sounded like grinding metal. "I have called. You here to deliver a message to your pathetic species?" Kyle bowed slightly. "Not too much, just enough to seem respectful." "Supreme Commander, humanity is always happy to receive your wisdom." The giant reptile laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Wisdom? No, little mammal, this is not wisdom, this is a demand. Your species has played at being important for too long. You fly around the galaxy in your weak ships. You talk and talk and talk. You produce nothing of value. You have no military. You have no strength. You are parasites. Kyle nodded as if he was thinking deeply about these words. Inside, he was memorizing every detail, the positions of the guards, the security cameras, the layout of the room. His hidden contact lenses were recording everything, sending it directly to a memory chip in his dental implant. "We appreciate your direct communication, Supreme Commander," Kyle said. "How can humanity better serve the galaxy?" The Supreme Commander moved closer. Kyle could smell his breath, like hot metal and sulfur. "You will serve by accepting your proper place as slaves. The hegemony has decided that Earth will become a tributary world. You will send us 60% of your resources every year. You will provide 1 million humans annually to work in our mines. You will dismantle what little technology you have and accept hegemony governors on your worlds." Kyle's expression never changed. He had trained for this moment. "This is a significant request, Supreme Commander. I will need to communicate with Earth's leadership." "You have 1 week," the Supreme Commander growled. "If you refuse, we will take what we want. Anyway, your species will learn what happens to those who think they are equal to their betters. We have 200 battle fleets. You have cargo ships. We have plasma cannons that can crack planets. You have words. Choose wisely, little peacekeeper." The Supreme Commander turned and left, his guards following. Kyle stood alone in the massive hall, surrounded by the bones of dead civilizations. He waited exactly 5 minutes, then walked calmly to his shuttle. Only when he was in space, away from hegemony scanners, did he send the emergency signal to Earth. President Diana Foster received the message 3 hours later. She was in the Situation Room with General Carl Murphy and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. They had been expecting this moment for months. Every model, every prediction had pointed to the hegemony making this move. "So it begins," Diana said quietly. "General Murphy, initiate Protocol 7. Carl Murphy had been waiting 30 years to hear those words. He pressed his hand to a biometric scanner and spoke clearly. "Authorization. Murphy Carl, General of the Army. Protocol 7 is active. Wake the sleeping giant." Across human space, things began to change. On the colony world of New Texas, farmer Bill Crawford was working in his field when his communicator buzzed with a special tone. He hadn't heard that sound in 5 years. He walked to his barn and pressed a hidden button. The floor opened, revealing stairs going down to an armory. His farm equipment sat above a military bunker. On the mining station Omega 7, Captain Jake Palmer was pretending to repair drilling equipment when the signal came through. He smiled and walked to his quarters. He opened a wall panel that had been sealed for 8 years. Inside was his real uniform. Not the mining supervisor outfit he wore every day, but the uniform of a Space Force captain. His crew of 30 miners were all trained soldiers. Their mining ship had enough hidden weapons to destroy a small fleet. The transformation happened everywhere at once. Trade ships opened hidden compartments full of weapons. Space stations activated shield generators that had been built into their hulls. Communication satellites revealed themselves as weapon platforms. In 1 hour, humanity's military grew from nothing to the largest force in the galaxy. But the real surprise was the Ghost Fleet. Hidden in dark space between star systems, 2,000 warships powered up their engines. They had been floating there for years, invisible to scanners, looking like space debris. Now they came alive. Each ship was a masterpiece of stolen and improved technology. They had better shields than the hegemony, faster engines than the Vorthans, and more accurate weapons than the Krellians. Admiral Paul Harris watched from Earth Command as humanity's true strength revealed itself. Green dots appeared on his tactical display as each unit reported ready. In 50 years of secret preparation, they had built something incredible. Not just a military, but a perfect trap. Dr. Melissa Turner, Earth's chief xenopsychologist, broadcast a message on all galactic channels. She stood in front of a black background wearing a simple black uniform. Her voice was calm and clear. Citizens of the galaxy. This is Dr. Melissa Turner of Earth. 1 hour ago, the hegemony of scales demanded that humanity become a slave species. They gave us 1 week to decide. We have decided. The answer is no. She paused to let that sink in. Across the galaxy, beings stopped what they were doing to listen. Humans never said no to the hegemony. Nobody did. For 50 years, you have known us as peacekeepers. We helped you solve your disputes, we transported your goods, we learned your languages and cultures. Many of you considered us friends. Some of you considered us weak. The hegemony called us parasites. You were all wrong. The screen behind Melissa changed to show Earth's true military strength. The numbers were impossible. The galaxy had thought humans had no warships. The display showed 2,000. They thought humans had no weapons. The display showed entire moons converted into weapon platforms. We are not peacekeepers because we are weak. We are peacekeepers because we choose to be. We developed patience not from fear but from wisdom. We studied you not as friends but as potential threats. Every moment of these 50 years we have been preparing for this day. The day when someone would mistake our choice for peace as an inability to wage war. The broadcast switched to show footage of human fleets moving into position. They were not attacking. Not yet. But they were everywhere. Near every major alien world. Along every trade route. Around every strategic resource. Humanity had spent 50 years getting into position for this moment. The hegemony has 1 hour to withdraw their demands and apologize. Not 1 week, 1 hour. If they refuse, they will learn what humanity really is. We are the species that evolved on a death world. We fought ourselves for thousands of years before reaching space. We learned every form of warfare. We perfected every strategy. We chose to abandon war not because we had to, but because we had become too good at it. Melissa's expression never changed, but her words carried weight that made entire species nervous. We tried to be your peacekeepers. The hegemony has forced us to be what we truly are. Patient killers who have been waiting 50 years for someone to give us a reason. The hegemony just gave us that reason. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, panic and confusion spread. The peaceful humans, the ones everyone ignored, the ones everyone thought were weak, had just revealed themselves as the greatest military power in known space. And they had done it in 1 hour. The countdown began. 59 minutes until the hegemony had to choose. Surrender or face humanity's true nature. Admiral Paul Harris stood in a room that shouldn't exist. It was 500 meters below the Antarctic ice, hidden from every scanner and satellite that alien species had pointed at Earth. The walls were lined with screens, each one showing different parts of the galaxy. Red dots marked alien military bases, blue lines showed trade routes, green circles indicated resource-rich planets. This was the real Earth Command, and only 200 humans knew it existed. Commander Amy Peterson walked in carrying a tablet. She was young, only 35, but her eyes looked older. She had been reading alien military reports since she was 15. Her job was to understand how every species in the galaxy fought wars. She was very good at her job. "Admiral, we just received the data from Ambassador Morrison's meeting," Amy said. "The Krellians revealed something interesting." Paul turned from the main screen. He was 70 years old, with white hair and sharp blue eyes. He had been planning this operation for 30 years. Every peaceful mission, every trade agreement, every cultural exchange had been his idea. The galaxy's greatest deception was his masterpiece. "Show me," Paul said. Amy touched her tablet and the main screen changed. It showed a map of Krellian space with new information overlaid. They have 3 secret battle groups in the Nexus sector, not 2. Each group has 40 ships, but here's the important part. They mentioned their ships use quantum trackers. We didn't know they had that technology. Paul smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. Quantum trackers. That means they can follow ships through hyperspace jumps. Interesting. How do we counter it? I've already sent the information to Research Division, Amy replied. Dr. Chen thinks he can develop a scrambler within 6 months. The room around them hummed with activity. 20 officers sat at computers, analyzing data from across the galaxy. Every piece of information that peaceful human diplomats collected came here first. The galaxy produced thousands of hours of intelligence every day, and these officers sorted through all of it. Lieutenant Colonel Sam Wright approached them. He managed the Fleet Intelligence Division. His job was to track every warship in known space. "Admiral, you need to see this. The Vorthons just moved their third fleet away from their homeworld. Our trade ship near their border counted only half the normal defenders." Paul studied the screen. "They're getting ready to fight the Krellians. They're pulling ships from home defense to reinforce their claim on the Nexus system." He turned to Amy. "Send a message to our ships in that sector. Tell them to update. They're scans of the Vorthon homeworld. I want to know every defensive satellite, every ground battery, every fighter squadron they have left." Amy nodded and walked to the communication station. This was how humanity really operated. While ambassadors preached peace in public, the military studied war in secret. Dr. Frank Chen entered the command center. He ran Earth's Advanced Weapons Division, another facility that supposedly didn't exist. It was hidden under the Pacific Ocean, protected by 2 miles of water and rock. Frank looked excited, which usually meant something dangerous. "Admiral, we've had a breakthrough," Frank announced. "Remember that hegemony shield generator our cultural students scanned last year? We've improved it. Our version is 40% stronger and uses half the power." Paul examined the technical specifications on Frank's tablet. "How many can we build?" "We already have 1,000 units ready. Every human ship can be upgraded within 3 months. The beautiful part is they look exactly like standard cargo bay doors. No alien scanner would notice the difference." This was humanity's greatest advantage. Every species in the galaxy thought humans were terrible at technology. They saw human ships that looked old and slow. They laughed at human computers that seemed basic. They didn't know that humanity had been learning from all of them, taking the best ideas from each species and making them better. Captain Julie Baker commanded the hidden fleet. She appeared on the main screen from her ship, which was disguised as a mining vessel in the asteroid belt. "Admiral, we're ready for the monthly drill. All ghost ships report ready." "Begin the exercise," Paul ordered. On the tactical display, 200 green dots appeared across the solar system. These were humanity's real warships. To alien scanners, they looked like cargo haulers, mining ships, or broken satellites. But each one carried weapons that combined Krellian armor, Vorthon engines, hegemony shields, and Zalathi targeting systems. They were the deadliest ships in the galaxy, and nobody knew they existed. The drill lasted 1 hour. The Ghost Fleet practiced attack formations, defensive positions, and emergency jumps. They moved in perfect coordination, years of secret training showing in every maneuver. When they finished, they returned to their hiding spots and resumed, pretending to be harmless civilian vessels. Commander Amy Peterson pulled up another report. "Sir, interesting news from the hegemony of scales. Their Supreme Commander made another speech about weak species not deserving to exist. He specifically mentioned humans as an example of evolutionary failure." Paul actually laughed. "The Supreme Commander thinks we're weak. Good. Let him keep thinking that. Pride makes species stupid, and the hegemony has more pride than anyone." The command center's strategic planning section was run by Colonel Maria Santos. She had spent 20 years studying alien psychology. Her team created profiles of every major leader in the galaxy. They knew what made each species angry, afraid, or overconfident. "The hegemony is getting aggressive," Maria reported. "They've conquered 3 small species in the last year. Our psychological models suggest they'll demand tribute from Earth within 6 months." "Let them come," Paul said quietly. "We've been patient for 50 years. We've listened to their insults. We've accepted their contempt. We've bowed and smiled while they called us weak, but every insult taught us something. Every moment of their arrogance revealed a weakness." Dr. Frank Chen pulled up a weapons inventory. "We have 10,000 plasma cannons based on Zalathi designs but improved with our modifications. 5,000 quantum torpedoes reverse-engineered from a crashed Korvac ship. 50,000 combat drones that combine technologies from 12 different species. Our ground forces have armor that can stop any known weapon and rifles that can pierce any known shield. Paul walked to the center of the room where a holographic display showed Earth. Blue dots indicated hidden military bases. There were hundreds of them. Under cities, in mountains, beneath the ocean floor. Each one full of weapons and soldiers that the galaxy didn't know existed. "Show me the colony defenses," Paul ordered. The display changed to show human colonies across the galaxy. Each one looked peaceful and defenseless. But the real data showed hidden weapon platforms, underground bunkers, and civilian ships that could transform into warships in minutes. Every human settlement was actually a fortress pretending to be a farm. Lieutenant Bobby Turner from Intelligence Analysis had been studying patterns in alien military doctrine. "Admiral, I've found something important. No species in the galaxy uses cyber warfare the way we do. They have computer defenses, but they're all designed to stop direct attacks. Nobody expects the kind of virus warfare we've developed." This was crucial information. Earth cyber weapons could disable entire fleets without firing a shot. Alien species protected their ships from lasers and missiles, but not from software that could turn their own computers against them. Paul stood in front of the main display, looking at the galaxy that thought humanity was weak. 50 years of insults, 50 years of condescension, 50 years of being treated like children who needed protection. But those 50 years had also been 50 years of learning, preparing, and waiting. "Continue all operations," Paul ordered. "Maintain the deception. Let them think we're weak. Let them believe we're peaceful. When the time comes when they finally push too hard, they'll learn the truth. Humanity didn't abandon war. We perfected it. We just chose to hide our perfection until the perfect moment." The command center continued its work. Officers analyzed alien weaknesses. Scientists improved captured technologies. Soldiers trained in secret bases. Ships hid among the stars. Earth prepared for a war that the galaxy didn't know was coming. The patient killers waited in the darkness, pretending to be sheep while sharpening their claws. The space station floated between 3 suns, each one a different color. Red, blue, and yellow light mixed together to create strange shadows on the walls. Ambassador Jack Morrison stood in the center of the great meeting hall, his hands folded, calmly in front of him. He had done this many times before. Today was just another day of keeping peace between angry aliens. The Krellians stood on his left side. They were massive creatures, each one 8 feet tall with 4 muscular arms and skin that looked like purple stone. Their leader, War Chief Grax, breathed heavily through his nose slits. Steam came out with each breath. The Krellians were warriors. They solved most problems by fighting. Today, they wanted to fight about planets. On Jack's right side, the Vorthans clicked and buzzed. They looked like giant praying mantises made of black metal. Their leader, Hive Queen Zek, moved her head in quick, sharp motions. Her compound eyes reflected the room 1,000 times. The Vorthans were builders and thinkers. They solved problems with technology and clever plans. Today, they also wanted those same planets. The planets they were fighting about sat in the Nexus system, 7 worlds full of rare minerals that both species needed. The Krellians said they found the system first. The Vorthans said they had already started building mines there. Both sides had brought their war fleets. One wrong word could start a battle that would kill millions. Jack took a slow breath and smiled. This was why humans were here. For 50 years, ever since humanity joined the galactic community, they had been the Peacekeepers. Every species trusted humans because humans never fought. They had no war fleets, they had no weapons, they just had words and patience. "War Chief Grax," Jack said in a calm voice. "Tell me about your claim to the Nexus system. Start from the beginning." The Krellian leader pounded the table with 2 of his fists. The metal bent under the impact. "We found it first. Our scout ship, the Bloodfang, discovered those planets 40 cycles ago. We have the records. We have the proof. But these insects," he pointed at the Vorthans with all 4 arms, "they sneak in like thieves and build their ugly machines on our worlds." Jack nodded thoughtfully. and turned to the Vorthan Queen. "Hive Queen Zek, please share your perspective." The Vorthan's mandibles clicked in what Jack knew was frustration. The Krellians may have seen the system first, but seeing is not owning. We filed the proper claims with the Galactic Council. We followed the laws. We spent resources to build our mining stations. The purple brutes think violence gives them rights. It does not. Behind Jack, sitting at a small desk, Captain Lisa Grant typed on her datapad. To anyone watching, she looked like a secretary taking notes. She wore simple clothes and glasses that made her look harmless. Nobody paid attention to her. That was exactly what she wanted. Lisa's fingers moved quickly across the screen. But she wasn't writing about the meeting. She was recording everything else. The Krellian war chief had just revealed that their scout ships used something called quantum trackers. Interesting. The Vorthan Queen mentioned their mining stations had new shield technology. Very interesting. Every angry word gave away secrets. The argument continued for hours. Jack never lost his patience. He asked questions that seemed helpful, but were really designed to make both sides reveal more information. When the Krellian war chief got angry, he talked about where his battle fleet was hiding. When the Vorthan Queen felt insulted, she explained how her species' new weapons worked. "Perhaps we could divide the system," Jack suggested. 4 planets for the Krellians, 3 for the Vorthans. "Never!" both aliens shouted at the same time. Jack expected this. He wasn't really trying to solve their problem yet. He was buying time for Lisa to gather more intelligence. Every meeting like this was the same. Humans would listen, suggest, compromises, and slowly learn everything about every species in the galaxy. Lieutenant Danny Cole stood guard by the door. He looked bored and weak compared to the alien soldiers. The Krellian guards were living weapons with natural armor skin. The Vorthan guards had plasma rifles built into their arms. Danny just stood there in his simple uniform, looking like he might fall asleep. But his eyes watched everything. He counted the guards. He studied their positions. He memorized their routines. The meeting took a break for food. The aliens went to opposite sides of the room, still angry. Jack walked over to Lisa and Danny. They spoke in whispers. "Did you get it all?" Jack asked. Lisa nodded. "The Krellians have 3 battle groups in this sector, not 2 like we thought. The Vorthans have developed something called a null field generator. I need to research what that means." Danny added his observations. "The Krellian guards change position every 20 minutes. The Vorthans never look up. They have a blind spot directly above them." Jack smiled. This was the real mission. Not peace. Intelligence gathering. The afternoon session started badly. War Chief Grax accused the Vorthans of poisoning a Krellian colony's water supply 20 years ago. Queen Zek brought up an old battle where Krellians had destroyed a Vorthan science station. Old hatred came pouring out. Both sides revealed military secrets they had kept for decades. Too angry to realize what they were doing. Lisa recorded everything. The location of secret bases. The names of new weapons. The weaknesses each species saw in the other. It was intelligence, gold, and the aliens were giving it away for free because they trusted the harmless humans to keep their secrets. As the day ended, Jack finally got both sides to agree to meet again in 1 week. They would each bring maps and legal documents to prove their claims. They left still angry but not shooting at each other. To them, it was a small victory for peace. After the aliens left, Jack, Lisa, and Danny sat alone in the meeting room. They could finally speak freely. "Send everything to Earth," Jack ordered. Priority 1 encryption. Lisa's fingers flew across her datapad. In seconds, 50 gigabytes of intelligence data streamed across space to Earth's hidden servers. Information about Krellian fleet positions. Details about Vorthan technology. Weaknesses, strengths, fears, and plans. All of it gathered by peaceful humans who just wanted to help. Jack looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships floated in the dark. They looked like cargo vessels or mining ships. But hidden inside were weapons, powerful weapons that no alien knew existed. Humanity had been building them for 50 years, using technology, learned from these peace meetings. Every human in space was part of the plan. The colonists who lived on mixed-species worlds were really anthropologists studying alien psychology. The traders who sold goods between planets were mapping jump routes and defensive positions. The diplomats who preached peace were generals, in disguise. The galaxy thought humans were weak because they never fought. The galaxy thought humans were peaceful because they always talked instead of shooting. The galaxy thought humans were everyone's friend because they helped solve problems. The galaxy was wrong. Humans were patient. They were smart. They were learning everything about everyone while revealing nothing about themselves. They were playing a game that the other species didn't even know existed. Jack Morrison stood up and straightened his ambassador's robes. Tomorrow he had another peace meeting. The Zalathi Empire and the Korvac Federation were arguing about trade routes. They would shout and threaten each other. They would reveal their secrets in anger, and Jack would stand between them, calm and patient, pretending to care about their problems while Lisa recorded every word. The galaxy's greatest peacekeepers were actually its most dangerous predators. They just hadn't shown their teeth yet.